Everyone, thank you for listening to my talk today. My name is Seth Raynor from the University of Colorado Boulder, and today I'll be presenting a research update to the Indian Peaks Wilderness Alliance on the lichens of the Indian Peaks Wilderness. I realize that this group probably doesn't need much of an introduction to the Indian Peaks Wilderness, but I feel like I could put it in some context of why it's a lichen haven. This 297 square kilometer region has over 50 lakes and many streams to provide plenty of moisture for the lichens to persist. It's the easternmost section of the continental divide for the entire North American continent, and this, mixed with interesting geology, periods of glaciation, and the incredible elevational gradient from 8,400 to 13,500 feet, provides a diverse assemblage of plant and animal life surrounding this beautiful wilderness. Jumping straight into preliminary results, the fieldwork portion for this project is completed, where I've collected 2,342 lichen specimens from the Indian Peaks Wilderness and hundreds more from surrounding national forest lands. Additionally, my advisor has made over 1,000 collections of her own from this region. So far, I've determined about 1/3 of my specimens, identifying 250 unique lichen species and 15 state records from within the Indian Peaks Wilderness borders. If you include lichen specimens from the surrounding national forest lands, there's an additional 28 unique lichen species and 3 state records that I've also identified. To highlight the diversity of lichens within Indian Peaks Wilderness, I thought it would be relevant to talk about a few species with each common substrate. Starting with the ground dwellers, these lichens grow on the soil and organic matter on the ground and can be found on trail sides like the Seroma hypnorum on the left, which is one of the most beautiful lichens in the entire wilderness, or they could be restricted to the alpine tundra like Xanthoparmelia wyomingica, which is a vagrant lichen often found unattached to any substrate, or Thornolius subulatiformis on the right, which to me looks like small icicles and grows bright yellow under UV light. Next is the moss dwellers. These species are also normally found in the alpine tundra, but can be found on steep slopes walking up trails. They're often growing on dead mosses, but can be intermixed with living mosses as well. There's crusts like the ones on the outside, Diploschistes muscorum, which have pit-like apothecia, while Bryoplaca jungermanni on the right have these gorgeous orange discs. And there's also foliose growth forms like this Fisconia muscagina in the middle. Then there's the most common substrate in all of the Rocky Mountains, the rocks. These rock dwellers can be common, like the far right one, Rusovskia elegans, or pseudo-common, like the Dimmelina orina, which is common, but when you actually break it down into all of its unique variations, it's not as widespread as you might think. And then there's really cool disjunct populations like the one on the far left, Bredilla oroartica, which is an Arctic alpine species that travels down the spine of the Rockies and has its southern extent here in Colorado. Next is the bark dwellers. These species can be found on the trunks of trees like this Vulpista pinastri on the left. They can be found inhabiting more the branches and the twigs like Melanohalia often does, as seen in the Melanohalia clari in the middle. Or they can be found inhabiting the branch scars of aspens, like is seen in the Santa Mendoza montana on the far right. And lastly, for the common substrates are the wood dwellers inhabiting old dead wood, the most common of which seems to be Parmeliopsis species like Hyperocto, which is shown in the middle, or Lecidella euphoria, which is shown in the right. My personal favorite wood dweller is Xylographa parallella, which forms these parallel linear brown lines up the wood. To add an interesting substrate, I decided to add a resin dweller. Scythia resinae seemed very pertinent to include since it is Halloween and its common name is pine pumpkins. This species occurs on conifer resin, and we have only found it so far near lakes. Both of our specimens, the first was found near Crater Lake, the second was found near Red Deer Lake. If the species is confirmed, it would be a state record. However, our species doesn't fully agree with the description of Zithia resinae. Our species has larger apothecia and smaller ascospores. And these abnormalities could be a new species. It could just be phenotypic expression differences caused by biotic or abiotic factors or other gene abnormalities. Through the winter, I expect to continue identifying more lichen species, easily raising the total number to over 350 species following my winter determinations. I will be including my advisor specimens as well as historic Indian Peaks wilderness lichens that are housed at Colorado. I will be writing a set of dichotomous keys to help with identifying the lichens in the future, and I will be producing a manuscript which includes the keys as well as an annotated checklist that will be published in either the Bryologist, the Lichenologist, or Evansia. Eventually, once this project ends, we will be expanding our lichen inventories to other regions of the Southern Rockies in pursuit of the first comprehensive taxonomic treatment for the region. And with that, I'd like to acknowledge my lichen team, my advisor, Dr. Aaron Manzito-Tripp, and my lab mate and collaborator, Jacob Watts, my other lab mates, Skylar Meridian Grapes and Adele Presser, my other committee members, Dr. Pat Kaselik and Dr. Steve Levitt, the University of Colorado Boulder for facilitating my grad school research and studies, the U.S. Forest Service for helping get us permits, and funding agencies like the Indian Peaks Wilderness Alliance for helping facilitate all this awesome research. And with that, I hope you have a great day.